Welcome, everyone. This is SehoPod. I'm your host, Seho Lee, and this is episode 5. I'm here at Jonathan Levy's house in the backyard. We got the Dodgers-Yankees game on, and I'm here with
Alex Kranzler,
who's my friend since middle school. Fun fact, I moved into Alex's science class in the 6th grade, and I had been there for a year. And then Alex looked at me, and we were put in the same group for a group project. And he said, "Who are you?" And I was like, "I'm Seho." He's like, "Are you new?" I'm like, "Yeah." He's like, "When did you come here?" And I was like, "The beginning of the year." He's like, "Oh, I thought you just moved, like, right now. I've never seen you before." And then we did a Shark Tank project, which he did no work on. And we still got an A. And then, same as Eddie, which I talked about in the previous episode, wasn't really friends with Kranzler until Cha invited me to Ken McDonald's 7th grade Halloween party. And then since then, we've been friends. Alex is a baseball player at Vanderbilt. Is that true?
That is true.
How was your freshman year at Vanderbilt?
It was a lot of fun. I learned a lot of things.
You can talk to me. You can talk to me.
It's pretty cool
Yeah.
being around, a bunch of guys that like doing the same stuff as you. Love playing baseball and just everybody having the same goal to win. There's just a lot of things you get to absorb, and it's just a cool atmosphere.
Yeah.
Playing the SEC baseball, it's just a lot of fun.
We've talked about this before, but it was during COVID when you kind of have a mental switch where you were like, "Oh, I have this time to really like bear down and train, and I can do this." Tell me about that. Like, when did you kind of decide like how committed you were to baseball and pursuing this as a dream?
Yeah, I mean, I think it first started when I was 12. We went to the Cooperstown tournament, and most kids play in that tournament that play baseball. And I remember I had the worst week of my life. I probably struck out 12 times, hit awful. I wasn't really a pitcher at that time, so I didn't pitch. But I got home, and at that point, I was a 12-year-old kid, probably about 5'5", weighed like 150 pounds, a little fat kid. And I remember I had a conversation with my dad, and he was basically like, "Listen, if you want to do this, you got to get yourself in better shape and start taking it serious." So that was when it first kind of started. We're like, all right, I'm going to try to do this. But I would say the main turning point was my freshman fall, came into high school, obviously new school, combined with 4 different towns. So it was a big change, a bunch of people you didn't know. And a big talk early in the freshman year was we had a kid who came in from Englewood Cliffs, Elon Ofek, and everybody was saying, who's better? And at that time, I wasn't getting many people on my side, so that was kind of like the first thing that lit the fire. So after that, I was like, you know what? I'm going to do this. And that was, obviously, I was pitching at then, and I was looking at a bunch of people on the national level committed to a bunch of Division I schools, and I was like, all right, the one thing I'm missing is I can pitch, but I got to add a little velocity. So the build up from that and then into COVID, where it was pretty much like, I got nothing else to do. I love baseball. Let me get better at it. That was kind of like the starting point to everything.
Yeah. Even backtracking before that, like growing up, I mean, I know that your parents were big influences on like you playing, every sport and like growing up as an athlete. Like how did, even before high school, how did that all play into you wanting to pursue like being a professional athlete?
Yeah, so I mean, my first love was definitely basketball. I mean, I can remember from when I was young, but when my mom working for the NBA, I was a big fan of guys like Kobe, and then kind of fell in love with Paul George. So I ended up being a Pacers fan, rooted for them all the way through their run with the Heat, where they never seemed to be able to make it out of the Eastern Conference Finals. But so yeah, I tried to play basketball, was pretty good. I mean, being in a New Jersey area, I was pretty tall when I was younger, so they were trying to play me at center. And then I kind of looked in the mirror, and my dad had a conversation with me. He goes, "Listen," he goes, "do you want to play sports to have fun when you're young and play sports, or do you want to try to have a college or professional career out of it?" And I said, I don't want to, I want to play professional or college sports. I don't want to just play for fun.
How old were you when you like decided that?
This was probably like 9 or 10. I mean, it was pretty young. And then he looked me in the eyes. He said, "You're going to be a 6-foot white dude. You can't play basketball." And then that was when I kind of started falling in love with baseball. Got into the autograph stuff, which helped me, pretty much love the game in every aspect, because I had to pretty much follow all those guys to figure out what I needed to get. And then that was kind of like the first spark.
Yeah. For further context, Alex would chase around athletes and celebrities to get all types of signatures on memorabilia and such. Going back to high school, so then like freshman year, that COVID year happened, so there was no season, but you made the varsity team with Elon. and then you tell me about the decision to just kind of train and go ham during COVID.
Yeah, I mean, we all were kind of stuck in our own houses, couldn't really hang out with friends. So it was pretty much, I had the batting cage that my dad built in the backyard, which we turned into a gym. So it was pretty much, you know what, I don't have school, I can't hang out with friends, I might as well do something with my time. So I just got into a schedule of just saying, you know what, I'm going to put everything into it. And part of it's my problem now, but it helped me then, is I've always been a guy that says, I'm going to throw shit at the wall and see what sticks. So that's pretty much what I did. And I just did a bunch of different stuff, and it worked pretty good because I came out of it and I was a much better player.
Yeah. You went into your sophomore season. When during sophomore season did you first commit to Missouri again?
So I committed in October of my sophomore year, so the fall of sophomore year, right after the freshman year summer. It was pretty early.
And that team had just seen you play through just showcases and things like that?
Yeah, I mean, at that point, it was COVID, so schools couldn't come and watch in person, so it was a lot on video.
Yeah.
And they knew somebody that, or their pitching coach knew the guy that worked at the place I worked out at, so that was kind of how we got connected.
Yeah. Now, I remember that season, your sophomore season, there was a lot of pressure on you because you had just committed D1 to Mizzou. And I remember that season also not being that great. Is that right?
Yeah, I mean, there's no need to sugarcoat it. I sucked that year.
Why did you suck?
I think a lot of it was in my head. I was thinking the wrong things. I was trying to just throw hard. I did have a lot of pressure, and I kind of let it get to me where I kept trying to prove myself, and proving yourself is good to an extent, but when that's everything, is a huge weight on your shoulders. And at the end of the day, what I learned that year is you just got to go and have fun and compete and do what you've done your whole life from a sports standpoint.
Right. I mean, I want to continue talking about this linear progression, but you talk about getting in your head, which happens to you a lot. I don't think I've ever asked you this. Why do you think that is? Where does that getting into your head come from?
I think it stems from the fact that I'm a thinker. Whether it comes to baseball, school, friendships, relationships, whatever it have be, I always try to think and analyze, what can I do here to make it better? And a lot of the times when it comes to the mental stuff with baseball, the best thing you can do is get away from it and not think about it. And so just falling in the, I guess, roller coaster effect of where it's okay, I got to, fix a slider, instead of thinking about a slider all day long, taking 3 hours a day and just doing something completely unrelated and just clearing your head. That's a big thing. I mean, I think the main mental thing my sophomore year was, who gives a crap what, X says here or there. At the end of the day, I'm playing baseball for myself and for my teammates, not for some random person in my town or around the world, wherever it may be.
Yeah. How is because now more than ever before, baseball is basically a full-time job for you. How has the transition been of wanting to keep baseball detached from your mental so that it doesn't get in your head so much? What are practical steps you've taken for it to not so much be all you're thinking about all day, every day?
I mean, it definitely gets tough because at this point, college baseball, it's a lot of fun, but there's also a lot that comes into it where, it's a business. If you're playing bad, they'll find someone to replace you, and then you're kind of stuck in shambles. What do I do now?
Yeah.
So it's basically just trying to be the 12-year-old kid I was as much as I can, and saying, you know what, I'm here for a reason. I belong. I didn't get to Vanderbilt or wherever I'm at because I sucked. I'm here because I deserve to be here, and just hammering that in, going having fun, and just for me, my biggest attribute when it comes to baseball is just the fact that I compete. So being able to just go out there and compete and not think about other stuff and just rely on my competitiveness to get me through something, even if I don't have my best stuff that day or wherever it may be, that's the biggest thing, or mental check there.
Yeah. So going back to high school, when did you realize you're oh, wait, maybe I should or could decommit?
I mean, it was kind of a rocky road with Mizzou. They were going through a rough time, a lot of coaching changes. And I kind of thought about it for a while, but my confidence wasn't there where I was okay, I know I can do this, and I know I can go where I want to go. So kind of going into my junior year, started playing a lot better and I gained a lot of confidence, I was like, you know what, like, let me see what's out there. Because, at the end of the day, I was a 14, 15-year-old kid making a decision that's going to affect me for a lifetime. And at the end of the day, like, I think being more mature at 17, it was a lot easier to kind of go through the process and actually take a deep breath and think about, like, the options and where I think I should actually do my stuff.
Yeah. I mean, I remember being in the car when you were on, like, phone calls with, like, a bunch of other teams. Why Vanderbilt?
I mean, there's a lot of things. One, they're the best, or one of the best, if not the best, baseball programs in the country. And with having the opportunity to play for Tim Corbin, who's one of the best coaches of all time at the collegiate level, and then also with Scott Brown, who's the pitching coach, who's probably the best pitching coach in college baseball. It's hard to turn down that opportunity, as well as like academic-wise. Like, my mom really wanted me to go to a good academic school, so the fact that they're pretty high up, it was just a hard thing to turn down. And at the end of the day, I was looking at it and I'm like, okay, my goal is to play professional baseball. And if I'm going to get there, I got to beat the best guys. So I was trying to go to the best place where I can compete with some of the best people in the country.
Yeah. I remember you talked about, like, during that decision-making process, you could, like, I don't want to name the other school, but, like, if you chose another school, you would have pretty, like, more easily been their starting guy or their main guy versus going to Vanderbilt or a school at a similar level where you have to make your way up. Like, how did you make that decision as well, like, about not competition within the team, but, like, kind of, like, again, like, making your way up?
Yeah, I mean, I think with me, when I get complacent, there's a problem, and how I'm wired with the competitiveness, I always want somebody pushing me. So I felt like the best option for me was to go to a place where I know there's, not necessarily, I mean, there's always going to be one guy that's better than you pushing you, but the fact that you'd have, 15 guys that are all just as good or around your level, it just was a no-brainer to just, say, I'm going to go compete with these guys and try to be better than them.
Yeah. I remember, so, junior year passes, had a great season, and then senior year comes down to, now the draft was coming up, and there was a lot of conversation about that. You had, like, given the conditions of, I remember you saying, like, you had known if I get this much of an offer for, like, around this much of a pick, then, like, I'll go to the league. Let's say, like, hypothetically, you did get what you wanted in order to get drafted. Does having spent a year at Vanderbilt change your mind about whether you would have gone straight to the league or gone to Vanderbilt?
Yeah, I think it 100% does. Like, I had a conversation with my dad last week and, kind of just recapping everything that happened my freshman year there. And I don't think that there's a monetary value that I could put on all the stuff I've learned or gone through during my freshman year at Vanderbilt. And I don't think I would have got those experiences in pro ball at the age I was. And I think just the fact to mature and kind of go through, like, in smaller stages will tremendously help me moving forward.
Yeah.
So I don't think I even would have considered it.
Yeah.
But then again, you get a certain amount of money put in front of you, it's hard to turn down.
Yeah.
But I have no issue with the decision, and I'm glad I decided to go to school.
Yeah. What's the best thing that happened this past year / season, and what's the worst thing that happened?
Yeah, honestly, I think the best and the worst thing is kind of the same thing. So I had a little bit of issues in the middle of the season. When we played LSU, I had a little incident where, I've always been pretty crappy at, like, standard catch play. For some reason, if I'm throwing inside 60 feet, it's always a little haywire. So I was warming up to go in the game against LSU. I overthrew the catcher a couple times. One went in our dugout, and the other one rolled into left field, and the whole stadium was kind of booing me. So that was an experience, and I ended up not pitching for a month after that. And it was bad, obviously, because, like, the experience was pretty crappy, but I think it taught me a lot of things, and, I was able to get through, like, a lot of adversity and kind of say, you know what, I can do this. Who cares whether it be a coach, a fan, a teammate. It doesn't really matter what they think. If you know what you can do, you can get through it and work your way back. And I ended up working my way back, finished the year pretty good. So it taught me a lot.
Yeah, that's huge. What like that big of a break, what were you, I mean, that must have gotten to your head. Like, how did you deal with that?
Yeah, I mean, it's tough. I mean, all year, I mean, you go from, and this happens for pretty much everybody at those schools, but you go from in high school, you're starting on a schedule, you know you're the guy. So it's pretty easy to get into a routine, you do this on this day, that on that day. And you get to school and you're going in the bullpen, or I knew I was pitching in the bullpen this year, and it's like, I got to be ready for every game, but I also got to make sure I'm getting better.
Yeah.
So it's like a weird mix where like you got to do certain things to keep yourself ready, but you also need to do certain things to get better, whether it be a pitch, body-wise, whatever it may be. So my mentality was, and I had a conversation with my pitching coach in, I would say around April, and he was like, if you were in a spot where you hadn't pitched all year, what would you be doing right now? And I said I would be preparing myself to earn a spot next year, but I'd also be ready for any opportunity that comes. And that's kind of like the main thing that kept me on the tracks this year. It's like, yeah, I may not be pitching now, I may not be pitching this game, but there will be an opportunity at some point. It's baseball. Guys struggle, guys get hurt. There's a lot of factors that come in. So just being able to mentally be there and be like, I'm going to pitch today, even if you're not, it just really sets you up to perform when you do get the call to go in a game.
Yeah. Looking back this past season, what are some things you would have done differently, whether like attitude or habit-wise, to have been better, whether like performance-wise or mentally?
I think the main two things were, one, on the baseball side, just being myself right away. I mean, you're meshing into a locker room with new people. It's the first time I'm playing with guys that are 24, 25 years old as an 18-year-old. And I was kind of a little scared to be the true Alex Kranzler. And I was kind of, that was my issue early on. It was like I was trying to, like, please everybody, when at the end of the day, I don't got to please anybody. You just got to be yourself and perform. So once I kind of flipped that switch, that was what helped me most baseball-wise. I said, you know what? From a pitching side, it was like, my best pitch is a slider, and I know it's a slider, whether somebody tells me it's not or whatever, so I'm going to just go throw it, and you hit it. And it was just like, I don't care who's hitting, I don't care what people think, attack that way. And then from a personal side, I would say it was just meshing into, new friends, new people. I mean, in high school, I was pretty, tight and, like, close with the couple friends I had. I never really, expanded to many people, so the first couple weeks and months at school, it was like, I just missed these guys from home, and I was kind of like not as open to other people as I was towards the end of the year. And once I kind of opened up, which was around, like, I'd say after Thanksgiving break, and was like, you know what, let me go talk to people, let me go try to meet people. I made my time there a lot more fun.
Yeah. Is it hard? I mean, I've heard and I've also seen, like, from, like, the athletes at my school, is it hard to make friends outside of, like, your team environment?
I mean, it's a little difficult just because, you're around your teammates probably 7-8 hours a day. Mm-hmm. And how most people, if you're in college, you know how it is. You got class, you got to eat, you got a bunch of stuff, and then having the baseball on top of that, there's not much downtime, especially in the fall when we're waking up really early for workouts. So it was tough, but you can definitely do it, and I think it's worth, trying to talk to people, because you never know who you're going to be friendly with or not. Like, even with my friends here, none of them, with the exception of Chubb, play a sport. It's all just people I like, people I connect with. So I think it's a little tough, but it's something people need to do.
Yeah. You're heading to Cape Cod on Tuesday, which is what, in 2 days?
Yep.
To play summer ball, right? And that's, I mean, it's exciting because, I mean, obviously the place is nice, but also it's like, it's a pretty, like, contained and serious competition.
Yeah.
Like, what are your biggest hopes for the summer?
Yeah, I mean, I'm very excited to, go play there. I was lucky to put myself in the opportunity where I was good enough to play there, being pretty much the most pristine summer baseball league. I'm just looking forward to getting to meet new guys that are very good at what they do and kind of learn things. From a personal level, I want to like help develop my changeup, so I'm going to be working on that a lot and just kind of hammering in the stuff that I kind of figured out at the end of the year and just kind of continuing to keep them where they're at and make them better to be ready for next year, and then just enjoy a new setting. Cape Cod's a pretty nice place, so the fact that I get to live there is pretty cool, and go enjoy the stuff out there.
Yeah. You talked about like player development. I'm curious. I mean, not so much summer league because that's more temporary, but I guess your role on Vanderbilt right now. How much do you see yourself? Like, how much is like personal player development versus playing for that team and trying to make it to Omaha?
Yeah, I mean it's a pretty good mix. Obviously everybody wants to get better, and you want to do stuff for yourself, but at the end of the day, the most important thing there is winning, and winning to represent your school, teammates, family, friends, whatever it have be. So the main goal is to make it to Omaha, win in Omaha, win tournaments, whatever that may be. But at the end of the day, if you look in the mirror, if you're getting better and pushing the rest of the team to get better, everybody gets better and you win. And one of the things Coach Corbin was very hammered in a lot in our team meetings was basically the fact that everybody on the team has to be healthily selfish. So it's like you need to be selfish in a point where you need to get yourself better, but if you're struggling, you got to be there for the guy that's doing well. Or if another guy's struggling and you're doing well, you got to be there for the guy that's not doing well. So it's just basically being there for your teammates and everybody, and kind of just everybody at that level has the same goals as you. So it's just making sure everybody stays together. We're all focused on winning, and then also everybody's getting better, so everybody can get better.
Yeah, totally. I mentioned this before, when before we started recording, but this is a question I don't think I've asked you, but why do you play? Why do you play baseball?
Yeah, I would say I first started just because I love the sport, and it was part of the reason I did the autographs is because I would watch all these guys and it'd be like, Max Scherzer, Verlander, Mike Trout, these guys are just cool to me.
Yeah.
So that was how I started. I mean, my dad always loved baseball, and he unfortunately wasn't able to play very long, mainly because of he had issues with his arm when he was younger. And so the combination of gave me a platform to do something I love and compete, and also to kind of play for my dad, and kind of live out his dream. It was just something I really wanted to do and just fell in love with.
Yeah. What's your biggest? Now I want to talk about going into, making a pro one day. What's your biggest fear about that road to pro and eventually playing in the league?
I mean, I wouldn't really say I have any fears. I think the one thing that could come into the one thing that's kind of there is just the fact that you don't know where you're going to be at any time. I mean, that's kind of happening now. It's I've only been home 3 days, and it's I come back from school, and it's you go here, and it would be the same in pro ball if I make it there. It just basically, you're playing in this, AA team here, and then you could get traded there. So just being able to see people, whether it be friends, girlfriends, family, it gets tough. So I would say that's the hardest part. But I mean, the fact that you get to go and do something you love every day, and that's your life, is pretty cool.
Yeah, totally. And what's your what do you envision? What do you envision your life to look like? Let's say is 5 years too soon? Maybe. Let's say 7 years. Let's say you're 25. What does your life look like?
At that point, I'd want to be in the big leagues, pitching for any team, and just basically, outside of baseball, just having fun, whether it be fishing, hanging out with friends.
Yeah.
If I have a girlfriend or a wife at the time, just spending time with family. I mean, kind of keep the same stuff I do now, just at an older age. I mean, I'm pretty simple with how I live my life. I kind of do most of the same stuff all the time.
Yeah.
So if I can keep it like that, I think I'd be in a pretty good spot.
Yeah. What else do you do? What else do you like? What are you passionate about?
I mean, I've started to pick up fishing. I mean, I've always been big with hanging out with friends or family. That's kind of it. But I mean, I don't do much. I mean, I'll watch a little bit of TV. Uh, you know, play golf occasionally, but
Yeah.
I'm not that great at it. Just hang out, whether it be the beach. One of the things I always say I do is I always find people I enjoy being around and just try to do stupid shit with them.
Yeah.
So, and that normally helps kill the time.
Yeah, there you go. I mean, that must make things like it must make it easier to focus on baseball. The fact that you're like a simple guy.
Yeah. I mean, I have pretty good discipline when it comes to stuff, and I'm a person that likes getting in a routine. So, whether it be summer, in season, or any other time, it's just basically like doing stuff at this time. This is how I do it, and then in the downtime, it's like, all right, this is what I do, and it's kind of like sticking to that schedule.
Yeah.
Like I know last summer, I was in a good routine there where it'd be like I'd wake up, around 8 o'clock, go get my baseball stuff done, be done with baseball around 2, 3, and then kind of just eat and find time, whether it be hang out with friends, or do whatever, make beach trips on off days, whatever it had be.
Yeah.
So it's just kind of keeping that the same. Then like when you throw in classes and team practices, it's just same time, same stuff. Just getting into a routine, so you don't have to think as much. You're getting up, you're doing this, and that's the normal. Once you get into that routine, it's very easy to make sure you're getting all your stuff in when it be baseball, because it's easy to fall off the tracks in the sense of there's a certain amount of work you need to put into to perform at the level you want to. And to just be able to stay in that and do that, it makes it a lot easier.
Yeah.
How has like this big career change and this like success changed like people's perspective about you? Have you noticed any like maybe like fakeness, any like change of behavior from those around you, and how has that affected you?
I'll re-ask the question so it's in the mic. Tim just asked, have you experienced people kind of switching up on you since your Vandy Boys fame, and how do you deal with that?
You definitely get random people that'll reach out and like act like they were your friend or act like they're supporting. And with that, I've always had, like I said earlier, a close-knit group of friends, so like I kind of know who like the real ones are, for like lack of better terms. So I kind of just like I'm nice about it. Like I'll say thank you, I'll have a short conversation, but like I don't really put too much time into like outside people unless like I truly believe like they're like a supporter or whatever it may be.
Yeah. Eddie, you have a question?
I do. What would you consider to be the dumbest shit you did in middle school?
What's the dumbest thing you did in middle school, Eddie asks.
I don't know. There was a lot of stuff.
There's one thing. We came back from lunch and he had a protein shake in his pocket. And then as soon as we get back, he just like, what did you do? Like cannonballed into the beanbag on the carpet and the protein shake exploded in his pocket.
I've done a lot of dumb stuff like that, whether it be, the time I pied Eddie in the face with a hot dog with every condiment on it. Or, when we were on our DC trip in the 8th grade, I was rooming with Jonathan, and he came out of the shower, and I scared the crap out of him, and he slipped and fell on like the tile floor. I was always at that age just trying to do stupid stuff. I still kind of do, but I've tamed myself to a point where it doesn't get out of hand.
That's good. Do you think like your sense of humor helps you not be so serious about baseball?
Yeah, I think it definitely helps me. The only issue I would say that comes with it is when you're with new people, they don't really know it at first, so it's like you kind of like rub people the wrong way with some of the stuff you say. But
sure.
I've always been a guy, I grew up in a family where everybody's just making fun of everybody, cracking jokes. So that's kind of how I live my life.
That's true. I want to talk about discipline real quick. A wise man once said, hard work beats talent when talent doesn't work hard. And I know probably a lot of people could say that you were, like built to be an athlete and that you're very talented. But I know you talked a lot to me and you continue to do about like the discipline and hard work that goes into that. How did you begin to develop that discipline, and how do you continue to build that today?
Yeah, obviously, like, I was given a lot of things that do help, whether it be, height, a frame. But the end of the day, there's also a lot of stuff I didn't have, whether it be like coordination, athleticism. So basically looking in the mirror and being honest with myself and being like, I need these things to change if I'm going to do what I want to do. And then knowing that I need to do X, Y, and Z to do that, and sticking to that is a big thing. And also, like, when I look back at my baseball career, whenever it ends, whether it be in 3 years or 23 years, I want to be able to look in the mirror and say, I did everything I could possibly do to do this, and not have a regret like, I wish I would have done this.
Yeah.
You know, my biggest thing is just, and it's with everything I do, and you guys know it. It's like, I don't want to lose or not do something to my potential because of something I can control. I want it to be, an outside factor. And whether I play in the big leagues or not, if I can look myself in the mirror and say, you know what, I gave it my all, I did everything I could do, that's fine with me.
Yeah. How often, or I'll get you next. How often, or do you ever think about what happens if you don't make it to the big leagues?
I mean, I would say the only reason it's a thought is because so many people ask. You always get the people, it's like, oh, if baseball doesn't work out, what are you going to do? But at the end of the day, like anything in life, you don't know what tomorrow's going to look like. So why bother to think about, what could go wrong? Instead, think of what could go right and just attack that. And I'm a firm believer that if you have a plan B, you most likely don't do your plan A. So my thing with that is just, I'm going to attack baseball, and once it ends, figure out what I'm going to do after that.
Good way to think. Tim, what's your question?
What's like the biggest adversity you faced just like as a person, like as a developing person, and how have you overcome that?
What's the biggest adversity you faced?
I mean, there's been a lot. I mean, one of the glaring ones that stands out is when I was 9, I was playing 12U. I got drilled in the face with a baseball when I was hitting, and I was scared of the ball for probably 2 years. So overcoming that was definitely something tough. On a more personal level, with stuff outside of baseball, it'd just be anything, whether it be school, friendships. I mean, you always have issues. I mean, I don't think I've had anything that was like too glaring. That was like, that's like something awful to come over. But everybody has stuff where it's like you got to come through it. And, my mentality is like, it basically shit happens, you got to deal with it. So when something happens, it's like, kind of like how I do baseball. I'm going to do everything I can to get through it, and I'm not going to give up.
Yeah. Any other questions from the live gallery audience?
What's your favorite food?
What's your favorite food of all time?
Sushi. No doubt. I could eat sushi every day until I die, and
That's
I'd
a good answer.
be pretty happy.
It's a good answer.
If you had to eat one piece of sushi for the rest of your life, what would it be?
Which piece of sushi would you eat?
Not because it's my favorite, but I think like eel avocado rolls would be it, just because they're the easiest ones, I think, to get down, in my opinion.
But like, if you could only eat one for the rest of your life, that's the one you choose? Not like quantity-wise.
Well, I think, it would be that, just because I know I'd be able to eat, 6 eel avocado rolls and be full.
That's true. Eddie, you got something?
Who would you consider to be your most not like valuable like money wise, but to you like your most valuable autograph?
Who's your most valuable autograph?
It's tough. I mean, right off the bat, you look at guys like LeBron James or like Michael Jordan, just because like, a guy like Michael Jordan, it's once in a lifetime to meet a guy like that. But I would say the most valuable to me are the All-Star sets that I did. So from 2015 to 2019, I would try to get every single All-Star on their own All-Star ball. And I guess if I was selecting like one from the set, I would say the most memorable would probably be the 2017 Kershaw ball. Like, that was one of the cooler experiences I had. I think I was probably in 7th or 8th grade, and I was out on a school night till probably 3 in the morning waiting for him to come back from dinner. I had probably like a 5-minute conversation trying to convince him to sign it, and ended up working out. So that was probably one of my favorite moments.
Going off of that question, who are your biggest inspirations in life? I guess there's like baseball-wise, but also in general.
Yeah, I mean, my dad is definitely the number one guy. I mean, he's always been there through whatever I got to do, and is always someone I can lean on to kind of help me. And, the best part about him is he'll be brutally honest. If it's something I don't want to hear, he doesn't care. He'll tell me it. But I would say from a baseball side, I mean, I've always looked up to like a Max Scherzer. He's always been the favorite guy for me to watch. I've always found similarities between me and him with like the competitiveness and stuff. So that's definitely a guy I've always watched and like I guess inspired me.
Yeah. Last question. How are you? Like, how is the state of your mental, spiritual health?
I would say I'm pretty good. I mean, enjoying everything, whether it be baseball, friends, I'm making the best of what I have in front of me, and it's just the fact that I get to chase my dream and have people around me that I like being around and a good family. There's nothing really more I could ask for.
Thank you for your answers, Kranzler.
Thank you for having me.
At the end of every podcast episode, I pray for my guest before we leave. May I pray for you, Kranzler?
Sure.
May I put my left hand on your right shoulder?
Yeah.
All right, let's bow our heads and pray. Dear Heavenly Father, I thank you for this conversation I had with Alex. God, that you have blessed us with this friendship. And God, that Alex has such big goals and dreams, and you have blessed him thus far with all his success and his hard work and his talent, that he's made it to Vanderbilt, where he continues to succeed and has big dreams for the big leagues. God, I just pray that throughout all this, you'd keep him healthy. You'd keep him just mentally clear about what he wants and how he wants to improve and continue on in this process, in this road. And God, whatever happens, that God, that he would just find that he would find that though all these things can slip away, God, you alone we can put our trust in. And I learned that my faith in you will not be shaken, and I just pray that I may continue to be a great friend to Alex and help him see that as well. God, I pray that you may continue to bless our friendship, and I continue to be there for him as he is there for me. And just again, I just thank you for this conversation. I pray that as he leaves to the Cape on Tuesday, that he would have a great time at Summer League. He would just have fun. He would be able to improve and go into next season with an improved mind and performance, and just be ready to continue to dominate. So we thank you, Lord. In Jesus' name we pray. Amen. Thank you, Alex, once again.
Yep.
This has been episode 5 of SehoPod. Thank you for joining us. Episode 6 coming out very soon. I'm very glad I got to talk to you, Alex. Good luck at the Cape. I'll see you soon.